意中二流推輪です。英語のはずなので、英語力が試されてます。
Hi there. Thank you very much. Between 2000 and 2011. We're going to start you off the first game here. Mostly it's just learning the basics of building a 3. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys actually is from its creator. It was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. Not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's...
ちょっと待ちんさい。そもそもね、配信がうまくいってるかわからない、これ。これがちゃんと電波に乗ってるかっていうと、乗ってるね。一応配信自体は成功してる？大丈夫だね。今、読み込むときにね、すっごいぐるぐるしてたから焦ったわ。まあもう、おいおいおい、大丈夫かこれ。
2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, this collection to reach him. So thanks. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
はあ。とりあえずその友人のコーダくんかなが初めて作った、2008年に作ったゲームのところに来たと。おお、シューティングタイプか。with pharmacy status active.
This game is called Escape from Coda.
こっち何？ダメだ。銃は撃てるが、ここは通れなさそうかな。いや、始まったけど何のこっちゃって感じだな。銃弾は多分この感じだと無限な気がするけど。あ、いや違う、弾切れになったわ。弾切れになったけど、これ大丈夫なの？大丈夫なのかな？この辺とか開くかい？開かない。おお。光っとる光っとる。
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. You have this gun, Wiki, that there are supposed to be monsters or Actually, it was complete the way that it is. I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
なんで？最後の方の英語は普通に分かんなかったわ。なんて言ってたんだ？
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
そうだね、宇宙が広がってるね。宇宙の下が、下まで宇宙のテクスチャーを塗りなさいよ、君は。君というか、まあ、コーダくん？あ、通れんのかい？なんだろうね。俺は今一体何をさせる？迷路。おラビリンソン。
There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so I'm just gonna skip you. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
エンジンルーム。はあ、エンジンルームだ。ああ、エンジン、そういうエンジンか。
You could save us all. That beam is powering a whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
体を張ってこのビームの中に入れば、このエンジン止められるけど多分死ぬよねっていう話かな。まあでも止めるんだろうね、これは。止めないで話進まねえかな。まあいっか。あー、死んだ。
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and
うっかりチャプターリセットしたな、今。
this game is games you'll see from Coda.
まあまあまあまあまあ。道は覚えてるからいいや。
Security hull breached. Hostile alien life forms inbound.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies
さっき
somewhere.
聞いた。
Clearly there are no enemies anywhere.
あ
You
ー、ど
can't
この
even
道が開く
reload
んだ
the
っけ？
gun when
そ
you
こ
run
か
out。of bullets.
そこだ、確か。
But ultimately don't really know. Maybe Coda
だ
thought
んだ
the
けどさ、
universe
そんなことないん
was
だよね。さあ、ラビリンス出口どこなんだろう。
Apparently this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to
される前に
discern, so
ゴール
in
に
the
たどり
interest
着け
of
たりし
time,
ねえか
I'm
な。
just gonna skip you on past it.
これ本当にラビリンス続いてるか？
Or if you'd really like to solve the labyrinth, you're welcome to do that too.
あー、絶対続いてないか？いや違う、なんか、微妙。作りがすごい気になるな。
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisk has to be turned off.
Is powering a whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great
もう
enough
この時点で
heat
戻れなくなってるから渋ることはでき
signature.
て
Your
も
body could stop the beam.
止めない手はあんまりなさ
So
そうよ
much
ね。
to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
はい、バグがあると。
It's an important moment, technically a glitch, human about it, in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
いや、本当にめっちゃ飛び続ける。で、
In this
あ、
game,
なるほど。が全体として通して。スキーしか効かない。気持ち悪い動きになるな。こっちか。 アイデアとしては面白い気が、
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Code is trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Why does the future keep changing? But the future couldn't 見えない。通せるようになるかな意味合い的には。何書いてあったなんか。But if the future is always behind her. まあ、しかし、未来はいつでも彼女の後ろにあると。How will she find the strength? How will she find the strength? 彼女はどのように力を見つけるのかいいのかな次行くんですね。はい。おう。今回はこの道をずっと行き続けるしかなさそうらしいな。Are you now entering? お前は今侵入したぐらいの感覚でいいかい？ホラーゲームかなテイスト的には。いや、いきなり。
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
あったか
？Games. Me about his work as once he stopped work on a game, like that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
いやいや、こういうところやっぱ後ろとか隅とか気になるじゃない。
I know it's tempting, but there's actually nothing over here. Sorry.
なんもないね。Sorry って言われちったよ。しょうがねえから階段登るか。何この階段。ナンセンスがどうのこうのって言ったけど、ナンセンスかどうかとかいう話じゃないだろ、これ。あと確かこいつジャンプできるからさ。微妙にっつうか、手すりは見えない壁に阻まれてちゃんと。
Door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if code is not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
エンターキーを押すとフルスピードに戻ると。ほんとだ、戻った。スタンド 1X、説明文が多いなスタート 1X スターティング X？ 違うな。そういう話じゃねえよ、これは。Press you to start 出してみる？
That he was actual, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
The game is nothing but giant blocks of text explain. 読ませて。2009年になった。Ready, set, fish. フィッシュ要素ないが。特に通路もなさそうな倉庫に出てきたけど、フィッシュ要素あるの？
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle.
パズルかい？
Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
おうまがまがしい雰囲気を出しとりゃないの。そんなことだろうと思ったわ。
Because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
この辺はなんか押せたりはしなさそうか。こっから次のエリアかな？何これ？
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
エンターで壁が剥がせる。むやみやたらとなんかいろいろと多いわね。
how about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
なんだろうね。またこれYou are now exit. 今出たの？
So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them.
なるほど、
And
何
once
言っ
we
てるか
have, we
全然わ
can
からん。
step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
なんか、ちょこちょこね、ビッグなピクチャーの話をしてるんだけどね、何の話かあんまり分かってない。大丈夫かな、これ。The Grand and Lovely Descent。おー、これはね、ストアページにあった。この風景だけストアページにあったのは覚えてるけど。何これ？
Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development.
The Sweet House
To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
ゲームエンジンの
The
話をし
tools
てたけど、ちょ
available
っ
to
と
the creator shape what kinds of
あんまり聞き取れ
creative
てない。
work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
ボクシーコリダーの部分かな、だからゲーム。おー。あ、ちょっと、やっべ、落ちた。落ちたはいいけど、普通に乗れんのかい？そこかな、目的地は。ここだよね、多分。真ん中には行けないようになってんのこれ。だね。はー、なんじゃこりゃ。なんじゃこりゃ。こっち奪ってって。うわー、なにこれ。もう SE が。やだね。あ。閉じ込められたけど。あらー、2階、3階。降りれないです。あ、こっち。
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
4時間待たされるんだ、
This is
ここで。
something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. there wasn't.
まあまあまあまあまあまあまあ、プレイアブルゲームって銘打ってるぐらいだから、いろいろヒドゥンボックスある、全然わかるけど。とりあえずこっち行けってことだよな、多分。さっきからずっと地下にしか行ってないからな。ジャンプができるのに上に行く気が全くないのは。青空？あら、ま
It's the
た。
puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time.
解放はさっきと同じですって言われたわ。
There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
何の空間これ？すごいな。本当に。コウダ君は何を考えて。何これ？
Here, Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
ああ、なるほど。123で返答できる。Yes, there was word some enormous floating card blocks. Word some of it is there was an enormous prison. 2番だね。That's the world of war. You've been there. Now this important. Did you have to get there puzzle with 2 doors and switches? スイッチどうしたのって聞かれてるのかな？ Yes, I did it. That was literally the last thing I did before coming there. No, I don't remember having to do any puzzle. I'd prefer to not to tell you. After all, we've only just met. Yes, I did. That was literally the last thing I did before coming here. 1かなこれ 3? 多分1だよね。Again, perfect! Now please tell us how you solved it. Tell us the solution. Tell us how to get the other side. I don't remember how to solve it. I didn't solve it. Someone else let me. Trust me, you don't want to go over there. あんまりいい方向に話が進んでない気がする。I don't remember how to solve it. I'm trying to remember, but I can't. But I can't. ではないな。I didn't solve it. Someone else let me. Trust me, you don't. 面白そうだから1にしてみるか。別にそんなことはないが。You must think harder, please. Try hard to remember. It is so important that we get out of here. あらら、終わっちゃった。あ、面接終わりらしいな。どうやら。乗れないか。面接が終わるとそこは面接室でした。Hello, how did you get there? Did you get here? Was there a puzzle you had to pass through? Yes, do you want to know how to solve it? Yeah, no, I've been right here this entire time. 1にしてみるか。No, we actually find the black space between the door to be far more interesting. Have you seen it yet? Why could I care about the space between the doors? Actually, now you mention, I don't recall a space between the doors. 1かな？There is a reason, but it may take time before you understand. 話を読ませて。
and so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
ああ、次がファイナルフロアなのね。で、ファイナルフロアには何があるんですか？暗っ。学
It's a lamppost.
校？
Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason, Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, you know, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
にゃんて？なんか街灯があって、この街灯に通じてるから、This game is connected to, as you walk around, you can read all notes you see left by other players. なんか歩き回ったらいいよって書いてあった？何これ？わざわざテキストボックスを置いといて書くことがナイスルームのってどういうことやねん。なんかこの近づくとフロートで出てくるタイプの文字久々に見たわ。
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person.
なんて？
In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually.
なんて？ How do you beat this game? わからん。俺も知らん。No point to this. 知らん。街灯がデスティネーションらしい。ででみたいな。Oh, holy shit! Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played.
まあとりあえず見てっか。そうは言われて
But
も。
it's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
I want to tell the secret once upon a time did define fun. Define とか define か。I'm king of the world! 元気なやつもおるな。Bars. How is the wood and grass and concrete? Yeah, what the fuck? 文字化け。 さすがに多すぎるわ。そろそろ行くか、次。部署が長えし多いんだ。どんだけフロートテキスト用意してんだ、お前。こっちは進めない？オープン C3 かな？わかんない。あ、違う、オープンセサミだ、これ。開けごまだ。ドアハーオープン。オープンセサミ。次行くか、とっとと。ビッグピクチャーってこれか？なんか随分現代アートみたいなのが出てきたけど。This is a note? Don't listen to the other note. 他のノートの話は聞くなって言われた。どういうことよ。で、問題の、かな？わからん。特にといってなんか面白い要素があるわけでもなく、なんか、一般的に芸術というものはちょっと凡人に理解されないということをよく教えてくれる気がするけど。まあまあまあまあ、次行ってみる
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Koda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one. In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Koda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on. And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
Mm. 全体的になんかウィスパーが増えてきたな。ウィスパーどころやないやん。How do you read notes? で、また街灯か。街灯と、タイプライターか、これ。何の音かと思ったら。いやいや、左下にタイプされてるわ。何？スピーク。最終的に全部スピークになっちゃった。
Okay, this one is tough. It's gonna kinda just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
なんて？ハングリーズだから吊るされたらどうのこうのって話しか聞こえなかったわ。なんか写真貼ってある。またよくわからな空間って感じだけど、まあいつも通りだな。
See, like, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
今のはうっかりなんか事故ってたバージョン1だったらしいな。What furniture the center of the room? Have a TV with surround sound, a refrigerator, put a ground hole of the ground. 穴開けようぜ、穴。そうきたか。Okay, now what about around the wall of the room? Let's put huge pictures of the horse だよな。馬だよな。I'd really like the washing machine. 10 stoves line up the around wall. まあ、10 stoves でいくか、じゃあ。普通にソファー置かれたわ。なんやねん。I think we should light up this room a bit. A skylight through ceiling window with open the baby up. I'm thinking 10かけるって英語でなんて言うんだっけ忘れたわ。10, 12 recessed electrics. 6-inch soft LED ceiling light with fluorescent trim かなで、we'll put leave テスラコイルテスラコイルでいくわ。はい。どうせそんなことあろうと思ったよ。And a table! You need a table! Who are you? Where exactly are you doing this room? I'm pretty sure none of my choices differs. そうそう。さっきはチョイスをね、違うの来てんだよ。違うのが来るのよ。
There's a bit more to this one, but still it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
あらー。家具だらけ。
So, okay, he throws it out and
あ、
starts
OK です
over.
か。はい。
This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Hello, please walk forward. さよなら。あ、ダメだ。下がれねえ。クソ。横にさよなら。できねえわ。諦めるか。This guide will enable you to escape the prison environment. 脱獄手引き。Follow the instruction carefully. だから紹介気をつけてと。Take care that you remember each stop. First, click on this table. Good. Go over to photo frame and click turn it slightly. Photo frame? これか。Now turn the floor lamp on in this room off. This time it back on. あ、これか。で、turn it back on か。Now go to the left side sofa. Move it over a little. 左のソファーをこれか。Finally, touch the shelves. 食器だな。あ、いや、これか。シェルフは田中そういや。That's it! In the real prison, the escape will now open. Return to the start to be taken back to your prison. なんやねん。こうですか？あ、なんかあるわ。
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape. Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
皮肉か？あれだよね。だから、同じ作り、側が違くて同じ作りのゲームに対する皮肉みたいなの今混じってたよね。だいぶ危ねえかもしれん。プリズンゲーム見栄えだけ変わって、場所とか変わって、家具の配置とかも変わってるけど、開放変わんないこと多かったねみたいな話を多分してたんだよね、今のやつは。で、また街灯があって、今度は電話ボックスか。やだな。電話ボックス使ったことねえな、でもそういや。あ、カメラ動けなくなったわ。あ、なんもできん。Hello? Who is this? Hey, it's me! I'm you from after you escaped the prison. You are me? え、そういう設定なの？ So you are trapped in this prison too?
It's a conversation. And so
Yep.
this is what Coda wants.
I was
is
a
to be able
future
to
mate.
talk to someone, to
I
share
was
what's on
kept
his
tutorial.
mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
What's it like to escape? Actually, I'm already forgetting. It's strange, but in a way, kind of miss being in the prison. It feels like being completely still and widely in motion at the same time. もう忘れたでいくか。1番。Really? How long has it been since you got out? Yes, only a few minutes. 正直行くなら2番だけど。Maybe standing right out を面白そうだから1にしよう。Yes? I haven't been here for years. I don't think. This is really hard to admit, but I was afraid. Time moves differently for maybe the prison is just affecting you in a strange way. まあ3番じゃない？まあね。Wait. If you me, then did you get a call from another vision of you when you were trapped? Yes でいくか。What did they tell you? What did you have to go to get out? All they told me was to be sins? なんだっけこれ。Care the sincere か？ They asked me how I felt about being in prison. 違う。あ、いや、合ってるわ。prison ってね。And they just talking 2番じゃない？わかんない。That freed you? How does that work? Listen, you can't know until you are out. But I promise it works. Just tell me how you feel. It will make sense. どう感じたのか言ってごらんよ。Okay. I feel afraid that nothing will ever change. Go on.
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice?
多分ナイスではないんだけどな。
So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
石の中にいるわけではないけど、まあまあまあ進んでいくか。何これ
To me, this environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle.
またパ
With
ズル
the
か、お
two
めえ。
doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
Clean。読めねえ。ちょっと待ってね。
You'll notice that the quality of the art is a step up from previous games,
読んでる最中だっつってん
including
でし
this
ょ。
new and improved chat
ナレーシ
system,
ョン。
which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
あ、2月かかって作った結果これなの。で、なに Well, my goodness, I'm glad as all heck that you show up. So I might be having to clean this entire house all by myself. And right miserable. miserable ずいぶん強い英単語使うね。That would have been. Everyone know lonesome hand makes rosy house. Don't worry about me. I appraise this nice. I'll be glad to stay here all night. All rosy house make harm runners. Are we cleaning this room, this whole place? ずっとそばにいてあげるよ。1番。Well, now you just might be getting a little ahead of yourself here, no? Why don't we start cleaning then you decide whether you could do it or not. I'll finish up there. In the meantime, could you please clear the table? Clear the table. Much nicer. That's the table I want to see. Now do you please run into the bedroom and make in the bed. Make in the じゃない、make the bed. まあベッドルームだ、ベッドメイキングしてきてって言われたわ。どこ？あ、これだ。これだ。While you are in there, why don't you strain out the rug a bit? ああ、床ね、敷物ね。All the little details matter. Do you enjoy being a house cleaner? それ聞いてみるか。楽しいかい？ Well, I don't enjoy it so much as I need it. While I'm working, I feel a kind of calm that rests in the pit of my ribcage. My soul just can't be smoothed any other way, it seems, which I guess is about all that matters. Oh, that and titty coach. Titty coach か。Would you strain the pillows on the sofa out there? ソファー？あ、こっちか。Oh dear, look like someone spilled a drink over my coat. 何？こぼしたの？飲み物。どこに？あ、ここだ。あったあったあったあった。I feel compelled to share incredibly か。cheesy, personal insight, you okay with that? で、返答が make it especially choosy. Yeah, I try to get by. Do you absolutely have to? 参加 Yes. あ、そうなの本当に No. I don't was stupid. Never mind. Hey, these dishes need to be washed. Why don't you came do that? 皿洗いってかはいはいはい。Last I checked, the tub needed cleaning. How about you scrub it down as best you can? No need to be perfect. Yeah, or just human. 人間だから完璧にしなくていいけど、なんだっけタブのニードクリーニングって言われたらタブって何風呂バスタブあ、バスタブっぽいわ。はい、綺麗にしたよ。As there still books scrubbed on floor bedroom. ベッドルームで本が何本あ、これか。if so, would you put them back on the shelf? 戻して。Perfect. Now then, how about you can...
After the intense set of prison games,
How about you
this
come
house
and
cleaning
clear
level
these
almost feels like
dishes off the
cleansing.
table?
It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful.
Oh, darling, let me tell you something. In your lifetime, you are going to clean a lot of houses. And among all of those, a few of
I know
them
that Coda really liked this game. Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come
読ん
over
で
and
る
look
最
at
中
it.
でしょう。
This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time, just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
.風呂場か次は。いや、どんだけハウスクリーニングさせんのマジで。Earlier, when I said I had a really choosy thought, I was going to say that it occurred to me that one house is look like one soul. You take care of it, and it take care of you. Don't you why? I felt so wired. Wired だよね、確か。About saying that. で、返答が I get it. That's a wired thing to say to someone you just met. Yeah, you're right. That's pretty true. But違う。But there's a bit truth in it, no? 3にするかなAnyway, so housekeeping. Let's keep doing this. Books, will you please clean up the books? Thanks. Oh goodness. The
I'm glad
pillows
you made
over the
this.
clothes are
I'm glad he
mess.
found some peace.
何回やらすねー。Question. Oh.
But,
Do
of
you enjoy
course,
this?
it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
あれここじゃないのあ、こっちか。黒い空間にあまりとどまりすぎるなと言われたけど、そう言われるととどまりたくなる気もするけど、どうなのまた街灯だよ。
Which is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? that sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it.
今度は何？ Items
This one
you...
gets a bit goofy.
Does it make your relationship 位置が変わった relationship meaningful? No. You came here to became perfect. This workshop is going to 早い早いよThis is easy.
About halfway through the game, the perspective shifts.
いや、後ろとんでもないことになってるけど。
And you play as the teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now.
とりあえず脳して光ってる選択肢をしてるけど、文章早すぎて何も読めてねえんだよな。ああ、もう教師役になったから自由に動けんのか。
I felt pretty hard for this one. I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To
自由に動けるけどこっちには侵入できねえのか。
And totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human. I think about this game a lot these days.
どうなってんねん。ステージ。これ
This
ガ
one
タっ
took
て
a
動い
lot
たりし
longer than all
し
the
ないか。
others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
ちょっと奇妙なゲームらしい。さっきの2倍の制作時間を使ったのに。ステージって書いてあるからステージの方行ってみるけど。あ、これあれじゃん。ゲームの今回サムネに使った画像のとこじゃん。Alright, the performance is beginning. Please. In this scene, you will be playing as me. We are at the gathering of professionals. First, you start out running against this wall. あ、これ Good, stay right here. There's the woman across the room. In this chair is a professional photographer of animals. It's your dream to photograph animals professionally. This is your one chance to learn something from her, to gain something to succeed. Go on, say something to her. Oh, that's it? That's not a conversation. You need to actually converse with her. Be a human being. Do it again. I'm super scared right now. I like you. Here are all of my hope and dreams. ここには私の夢と希望がある。No. That's not what I said to count at all. You are completely missing the tone of the conversation. I was reserved, but I knew what I wanted. I was confident. For some reason, it was that one moment, but I was confident. Maybe it's that you need a better feel of the setting. There are a lot of people around us. I'm giving you some props. It works with these cones that bounce. When you touch them, you represent the people nearby. Now talk to her again. もう一回彼女に話しかけろってかで You must have worked really hard to where you are. I'll bet you want to run into the pain. What are some sacrifices you had to make? 1でいくか。You're messing it all up again. You freak her out if the conversation gets that personal that quickly. 消えちゃったよ。I want to try something. Try stepping back from stage. 壁も消えている。で、また街灯があると。これは通り過ぎるやつかい？おう。おう。Okay, yes,
The game
now
ends
this
with this
working.
eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution, social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away. Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this game. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person, to bring him closer. But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
さらに一月増えて、ゲームがどんどん進化してるこれ。Maybe it's trip to play this game. Probably you must keep your eyes closed. Click to begin the game. To play this game, probably you must keep your eyes closed. maybe だから目が痛む可能性というか、まあ目にあんまり良くないから苦手だったら目閉じてプレイしろって言ってんのか。確かにこれなんか目が歪みそうな。目閉じてプレイしてたらこの選択肢選べないじゃん。なんか突っ込んできてるし。What's going on? 誰も答えちゃクリアしない。Please someone talk about me who?
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already. It's pretty much impossible to solve otherwise. And there is a solution, by the way.
目を開けるのが解放だとか言われたけど、目を開けてるセリフはこれだけなんだよな。What's going on? Please Please tell me how to solve this. これか？喋るなって言ってたか今。喋らないことが解放だみたいなこと言ってた気がする今上の人が。Truth って書いてあるな。The only way to stop it to speak something that is honest. らしい。選択肢が罠なのか、喋っちゃいけないのか。そんなこともないわ。でも上の人だけがトゥルースらしいけど。The only way to stop is speak something too honest. I'm burning created. No, that isn't true. ん Help, I can't see anything.
Alright, let me explain how you're supposed to do this. On either side of the room are elevators, which go up to an upper level. You have to go up, walk over to the person who's standing there, and then select dialogue option number 2.
あ、2番が正解だったんだ。I can't keep making there. Yes.
Like I said, I was getting concerned. First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So, where's that coming from? But then, even weirder, his work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Koda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way.
だから、The only way to stop it is to speak something that is honest. I can't keep making these. だから正しいことを言ってるから止まったと。で、I don't feel it anymore. I'm out of ideas. It's draining me. 私にはもうアイデアがない。Keep going, keep talking. I haven't been honest. I can't figure out how to say. I thought it was going to be easy. I haven't been honest. I can't figure out ってなんだっけ ?How to say. 3かこれ。You're doing it. It's working. I'm alone. Alone ではないだろ。I'm stuck in it. I have worked hard. I have to work harder. かな ?We are going to be okay. 耐えた。
His games are going to get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new.
だんだん開発期間が長くなってるぞ、ゲームの。なんだこれは。マウスを動かしても、キーボード打っても反応がないか。真っ白な画面。Hello, where am I? What is it? What is this? What is this? あらー。BGM がだいぶ不協和音だし、小島だし。何 Where did this island came from? What? How do I get out of there? どうやって出るんだでするか。どうやって来たのかではなく。Is that a person? How lovely! It's been a long time since I talked to anyone. What's wrong? You look lost. I'm completely out of ideas. When I try to create, I feel empty. I have nothing left to give to my work. もう私にはアイデアがない。Oh no! What happened? Did something change? There was a machine that kept going, and it stopped. I'm trying to find this engine that used to protect me to start it again. かな Wait, you are looking for a machine? I think I knew where is it. It isn't far. What? You have to take me to it. I need to see it to know why it stopped. 私らには見る必要がある。どうやって止めるのかを含めて。
If the last
I can
game
take you
featured
it,
Coda talking
but-
explicitly about his creative frustrations, this one turns it up to 11. Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even. And yet, still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for?
で、文章の方が I can take you to it, but their problem. It's got it by from difficult puzzle. If you can help me solve the puzzle, we'll find the machine. お前がパズルを解くことができるのであれば機械を探してあげよう。書けるかい It doesn't matter what I say, doesn't it? We're going to end up there one way or another, right? 違うかいディールになっちゃったけど。ディールじゃなかったつもりなんだけどな。3番選んだつもりなんだけど、まあいいや。Perfect. Come along. I'll show it to you.
Because, from my perspective at the time and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on.
Now you have, closed door か。で、between switch, the press switch. これか。Ha! That was so
You
simple!
can't
I can't
talk
believe I
yourself
never
out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
なんか怒られたわからん。教えちゃダメだったのかもしれん。I'm trying to find this engine that used to protect me to start again. I'm completely out of ideas. How do I get out of there? What is this? I need to see to know why it stopped. Dear, I've solved this puzzle before. これこっちの返答が全部書いてあるのかでもここに書いてある文章は右下にはないから増えるのかな今から入力はどうすかな What are you talking about? するか別に増えねえかTrust me, you'll see. You have to stay that your work is fun and easy. You have to say that game development is simple and join us and that you love it 100% of the time. Making games is simple. Making game is easy. Making game is effortless. フォートレスというよりはまあシンプルかな。Oh, that's feel wonderful. Why did the world just crumble? Why did I feel so awful when I said that? これかな？ Don't worry about it. Just keep it talking. Keep saying that creation is easy. When I make games, I feel completely energized. 何これ？なんだっけ？見たことある気がするんだよな。まあいいや。I'm constantly excited and enthusiastic だっけかこれはこれ。sick じゃなくて tick だっけ？まあいいや。About my work. It is easy. It never stops being easy. Keep saying that creation is easy. 1かねこれは。お、広がった。Yes, that's wonderful. Keep
Seeing this game
going.
at the time that he made it, it looked really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like video games are not worth this amount of suffering.
Keep going. Every time I make something, I feel better about myself. Just never stop creating, just never stop creating, and you'll never feel bad. It's such a simple solution. It's such a simple solution. どんどん広がっていくな、一応。
This is someone I really cared about. And I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me.
No, this is helping. I'm going to vomit. 最低だな。Please, where is the machine? まあ、1かね。かろうじてみて。Patience, you have to trust me. I promise this will work. Please continue. Cambridge is a fortress of me. Any sacrifice made for my work, I lost 100% of time. It always paid off eventually. いや、これにね、手伝ってはやれんのよ。こればっかりは。1? It always pay off eventually. 1かね。Yes, more. Keep
I don't
going.
know. This is what I felt at the time. I don't know how else to explain it. I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop.
There's no shame, no fear, no guilt. I will be saved by my work. I believe this. Unquestionably, I am a vessel for currently. まあね、私は信じてるからね。ああ、ぶっ壊れた。Incredible, that is, I'm free. あらー。
But it didn't stop. After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
開発期間また長くなった。1ヶ月ずつ開発期間伸ばしてるのは何なんだ？こだわりでもあんのかい？ The Machine。 I'm glad to see you were safely か。I said quiet, brutal, and you can begin the iteration where you like. 俺は早いぜ。Very good. Just be warned that someone called the press, so we might have a bit of attention on this time. おー、なんかいっぱいいる。プレスか。別にこっちからプレスしに行けるわけではないの。押したりとか、クリックとかは効かないのか。なんだこれ。マシーン。
And of course, it's the machine.
もう止めるしか選択肢ないけどね、これ。You stopped feeding us. Your work was keep us alive, and your work was keeping us healthy. シンプルに行こう。You stopped feeding us. なんてthose people out of there. Can you imagine what pain you put them through? You put them through. It was only because of your creation that any of us could make it so every day. How could we possibly go back to trusting you to get to this job? どれなんだろう3にしてみるか。How about this for a start? You need to go to the people who are out there and approach 違う、approach じゃない、アポロ、なんだっけこれ、アポロ忘れたわ、突然。You have to admit to the people what, 違う、that you allowed them to suffer. I've been so alone. How could we possibly go back to trusting you to do this job? から続けるなら3かね。止まったかい？さっきから一人で喋らされてるの一番嫌だな。No, nothing. Think carefully. I know how to hurt you. I've seen this thing you fear. 気をつけろよ。どうやったらお前が痛むのか知ってるんだぜ。Alright then, I will report. あ、止まった。ドア開いた。なんすか ?My forwards, my friend. My forwards で行こうか。It fell on me to deliver bad news. I'll be trouble revelation. The machine will not apologize to us. The machine refused to admit thatなんてdeliberately hurt us か。うん。will not apologize to us じゃないの？But this is not important. We are a stranger. Then it thinks we are. Let us pay it retribution. Let us show it that we are not fairs. 違った気がする。まあいいや。Retribution. Follow me. We will destroy the machine. We will destroy everything that the machine has created. マシン作った人ボコしに行こうぜ。後ろ。お、またここか。お？また重機が手元に来たけど、舞台降りれねえんだよな。左から前回は出てきたけど、こっち側通れたりするかい？
Remember, you can click to fire the gun.
いや、覚えてるよ。あ、そういうCoda, I'll make sure your work dies here. I'll make sure you're known forever.
So now the work is becoming self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games. It might get him out of isolation. And so, as I'm thinking this, I realize that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for him? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work?
まあ、取りつかれたままでは、もう負のスパイラルに陥っちゃってるみたいな話をしてたような気がする。わからん。違うかもしれん。
So I started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games. I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
それでも彼のゲームを愛していたんだとか言ってた気がするけど。才ですかって感じだけど。動けないわ。Put down your weapon. 普通に構えられたわ。あ、撃てるわ、普通に。
Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something... I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy. So beautifully, beautifully happy.
だいぶナレーションも悪いやつだな、これ。僕はちょっと直そうとしただけで別に壊そうとしたわけじゃないんですってヘペロみたいなこと言ってた気がする。
So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
まあ、コーダ君の新作が来たと。タワーっつってたか、タイトルは。そうだね、ザ・タワーだね。まあ見てくれって言われたけど。さあ、ぶっ壊した結果、どうなったかい？
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, the tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game.
Very cold game?
This room actually has a maze in it.
Oh?
Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible.
ああ、横にそれ
Every
る
time you
と
touch one of the walls,
ダメ
there's
な
this
のかなこれ
awful
は。
flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the levels, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
またエンターキーでギミックが無効化できるやつか。まあ、今までのコーダくんのゲームの雰囲気がないわけじゃないけど、まあ、だいぶ変わった感はあるな。
And to be fair, it's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end. But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze? The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
6桁のコードがあるなって思ったら下に表示されたわ。151617。さあ、何が起きることやら。ああ、ここか。先へ進めるようになりましたと。ここは落ちてもいいかい？
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first two challenges and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, you know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem. But I can open this door for you, so let me do that.
彼の問題を直すことはできなかったけど、ドアを開けることはできるって皮肉か？
I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why. I remember, it's June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time, and as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them... I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean.
こんなのは俺の知ってるコーダくんじゃねえ。これ誰が作ったんじゃボケみたいなこと言ってないこれ。大丈夫？俺の知ってる人間じゃねえとか言ってたでしょ、今。
I just felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left. And it felt somehow like I had failed.
雰囲気がだいぶホ
Where did I
ラー。
screw up?
なんか、スタート地点に近い感じの雰囲気のとこに戻って。ディアこいつあれだよ
I'm the
な。
reason
ナ
that
レー
you
ション名
stopped
前だよな。
making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you.
Thank you for your interest in my games. I need to ask you not to speak to me anymore. I poison gift you ってI poison gift him って言ってたから、やっぱり彼のだからアナウンサーのアドバイスというか、だからなんかこうじゃないのとかっていろいろ言ってたのが、かえって彼にとって毒になっちゃったみたいな話を多分してるんだろうね。
I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt. It felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable.
I wonder at time whether you think I'm making this game for you. お前のために作ったゲームだ。先に文章読む。You so infect my personal space. お前は私の個人的な部分に寄生してきて。That is possible. I did begin to plan solutions in my work somewhere, hidden between games. ソリューション、だから解放を植え付けてきたぞ。
And the people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally, for a moment while I had that, I liked myself.
If there was an answer, a meaning, would you make you any happier? Would you stop talking my games and showing them to people against my wishes? Giving them something that is not yours to give? Violating the one boundary that keeps me safe? いやー。Would you stop changing my games? Stop adding ramps to them?
And then you stopped, and I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing. What
Would
does
you
that
simply let them be what they are? When I am around you, I feel physically ill. I feel physically ill! Oh. You desperately need something and I cannot give it to you. I literally do not have it. Struggling to come up with new ideas is not making me depressed. Low points are just a part of the process. The fact that you think I am frustrated or broken says more about you than about me. まあ、そりゃ風邪もひくわ。I realize that this doesn't make sense to you just yet. Which is fine. You're not my problem to solve.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself.
まあ自分が愚かであったことはね、振り返って気づくもんだからな。しょうがないわな、それに関しては。で、But I do hope that one day it clicks and that you make peace with this singular wrestling. ああ、だんだん世界が崩壊してきてる。これか。And when you finally see what I am talking about, don't say anything. No
That's
switch.
why I'm releasing this collection of your work. Is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. And I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
どんだけ言い繕っても、一人の人間を壊してしまった事実は拭えないよね。嫌な話だ。正論でパンチするのがいかに人を救わないかという話ですよ。エピローグ。あ、エピローグあるんだ。いやー、気軽に始めたけど結構重いな。テーマが重いんじゃ。なんか。
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease.
ああ、ここが空いてたのか。
Solution.
この後に行ってまたソリューションつぶやいてんのか、お前は。自分まで壊れてどうする、お前。
I guess if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons. Even now, the disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
hate you じゃねえんだよ、おめえは。なんじゃこう。 柱が見えてるからどっかの地下なんだろうけど。
If I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like.
どのぐらい英語を正確に聞き取れてるかわからないし、ストーリーはあんまり正直理解はしてないだろうけど、それでもなんか、随分と重てえな。
I think I need to go. And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do.
もういいよ、お前はストーリーとか言わなくて。
Make up for. And so I'm
だから自分の正しさを言い連ねながら、それもストーリーっていうのはお前それマジで。それ一番クソだからやめろ。まあ雰囲気的にこっち行けってことか。そこに刺さってんのは何？あ、いや違う。岩が割れてんのか。で、どこに行けばいいんだこれは。なんか穴があるな。これだよな、多分。なんでわざわざちょっとここで時間取らされてるのに、ここでナレーションなんも入んないの？これ、そこで止まる？ちなみに。あ、止まるんだ。なんだ。焦る必要なかったか。戻ってきたし。まあ、戻ってきてはないのかもしれないけど、似たようなとこに来たな。あ、これ最初のゲームのあれか？体を張って止めるエネルギービームじゃん。懐かしいね。もはや何も言わねえじゃん、ナレーション、てめえこの野郎。お？あ。また。よくわかんないとこで浮いてきてる。あらー。これどこまでが立体として描画されてて、どっから先がさ、平面で描画されてんだろうね。絶対全部立体じゃないじゃん。あの辺までかな？あの辺まで影がついてそうだけど、そっから先は平面に見える。まあ見えるだけかもしんないけどね。3D 作ってあんのかな、俺。あー、夜明け綺麗だな。で、これどうなってんだい？もう動けねえからな、マジで。視点動かすだけでんだよ、楽しみが。
Turn back, turn back from this cave.
This project would not have been possible without the following individuals. このプロジェクトの協力者たち。いやー、すごいね、でもこれ。Turn back. Written by, だから一つずつ章ごとにシナリオライターみたいなのがいいのか。Written by があるってことは。Additional thanks. いや、ターンバックだから、バックしかできないゲームってなんかあったような気がしないでもないけど、面白いとは思うんだけどね。まあ、そんなゲームは全てぶち壊してしまったのでね。重てー、マジで。なんとなくなんかもうエンディングのノリで喋ってるけど、エンディングだよね、多分これ。エンディング終わった。ターンバックはこの曲のことは、ほんとだ。バックワードって書いてあるわ。ターンバック曲名か。曲の書き下ろしがいるってだけか。チャプター17個もあったのつうか。へえ。いろいろ選択によって変わる余地がちょっとぐらいはあったのかな。まあわかんないけど、まあね、マシーンっていうかタワーの下りがまあ結局このゲームの本質なんだろうな。いやー。気軽にやって損したかもしれねえ。まあまあでも面白かったわ。このゲーム元はパブリッシャーが同じとこのスタンリーパラブルって方のゲーム知ってて、それの同じとこのゲームっつって買ったんだけど、だいぶ毛色が違うというか、ねえ。まあ似たようなところもあるんだけど、全然違う方向に話がすごかったね。はあ、なるほど。いいゲームだ、本当に。まあ、そんなこんなで、ちょうど2時間ぐらいか、プレイ時間的には。まあ、いい感じじゃない ?2 時間ってことは。で、まあ、じゃあ、これで今日の配信が終わりということで、まあ、今日の私の配信は終わりなんだけど、今日の夜は、また昨日、一昨日から続いてる、傭兵のところの、ロボトミーコーポレーションのところに行ってくるので、興味がある人は見に来てください。ロボトミー的に大変面白いことになってて、俺が大変辛いのであれは、なんか、機運がすごいね、やつは。そんなこんなで、とてもハッピーなことになってるので、ぜひね、見てきてくれると、多分、やつの方が喜びます。というわけで、このザ・ビギナーズガイドは終わりということで、見てくださった方ありがとうございました。よければチャンネル登録、Twitter フォローとかしてくれると、嬉しいです。お疲れ様でした。解散。